All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Path of the Berserker here, joining the channel, talking about the future of Gala games. I've been hyped for the longest of time to get Jason on the channel. You've been kind of infamous for being on pretty much all of my Gala games thumbnails, so I think it's nice to actually have the face on here. Have you seen them?
So yeah, somebody actually mentioned it to me just the other day. They're like, yeah, look at that picture of you. I don't know how I feel about that thumbnail, but
Yeah.
I guess it's a good thing. I guess it's a good thing.
It worked, trust me. That thumbnail was
Did it?
really good at giving perspective. Yeah, I think
Good.
I'm pretty sure you're talking about the one where it was like the end or something crazy.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I think it has like 7,000 views right now, and it gives a really good perspective on both sides of the coin. And really like the focus of why I even cover Gala games in general. Like I could be covering anything in the world, but at this point, I think it's like a passion project. And with Gala games, you guys are very strict on like, don't talk about the token. Just talk about how awesome the games are. And I'm not going to say anything, but I'm a little bit addicted to spider tanks. And that's one of the main reasons I'm so on Gala games.
It's a problem.
It's getting into an actual problem. So I might need to check myself for sure.
It's okay.
But anyway,
it's okay, man.
We'll get through it.
That's how I am with Last Expedition, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I sit here trying to solo the map by myself. Which never goes well. I still have not been able to do it yet. But yeah.
Yeah, I was actually looking at your playtest. I was unfortunately not able to join it. But, you know, I think it's ramped up to 4 people right now, right? It's not dynamic.
You know what
right
we can
now.
do? I can get you into that, and then you and I working together can try to solo the map.
Oh, trust me, I'd kill it. Like, we'd kill it. Easy.
Okay.
I'd start shoutcasting this thing. Jason would just start hamming it forward. You just go shotgun mode. I don't even know anything about the game, but I'm sure we'll get through it.
Just shotgun mode, definitely a thing.
Definitely a thing. Yeah. Don't clown me later on this one. But yeah, you know, like with a path moving forward on Gala games. So I know you guys have competitors. There's obviously, you know, Web 2, there's Steam, there's what is it? Oh my God, I'm brain farting right now. There's Epic Games. I know Miria is trying to get into it. I know GameStop was getting into it, but I think they like left randomly. So you've got a couple competitors. You have a lot of games, and I think the founders nodes are the guys that ended up picking out these games. And I've noticed you guys are always like, you know, selling these NFTs, and you're doing these things to kind of like pre-sales, kind of, I would say it, not in crypto pre-sale, but like general pre-sale. Like I remember I played Black Desert, and to get into it, there were like these founders packs where you'd get like a horse and you'd get a skin and you get all these different things. To me, that works, right? Because it already works on traditional gaming. You're just giving that power of like, you own this NFT, you could sell it on secondary markets. Now, there is like a conversation. I'd actually like to mention this to you. Now,
sure.
So pretty much like people in general, right? They get into these crypto games and they think they have like full ownership, but to some degree, the developers can kind of just ban your assets out. So do you have true ownership, or like what's the general idea here for like true ownership in crypto gaming?
What do you mean ban your assets?
Like, for example, Axie Infinity, right? Your Axies can get banned if you go ahead and do exploits or cheat on the game. So technically,
I see what you're saying.
You can't use them in the game.
They, in the case of Axie, what they're doing, there's a couple different pieces here. Axie's NFTs, and if something is an NFT in the game itself, okay, if it is a game that's being run in a semi-centralized fashion, yes, the game designer could say, okay, well, this specific NFT in particular, fuck you, we're going to go ahead and nerf that. That's what you see with Axie. If you go look at like the Axie marketplace and things like that, or on OpenSea, you see, you know, specific Axies that have been banned because they were part of, you know, bad behavior, or they were stolen, or, you know, things like that. So yes, kind of, that's a thing that can happen.
Yeah.
What's interesting though, and what I think differentiates us from other projects is that, you know, take for example the node ecosystem. Okay, Last Expedition, one of the things that's going on right now, we do have node bundles that are currently being sold, and that node bundle is your server. And so you have the ability to spin up your own server and play with it, you know, using your specifications, invite your friends to come play, and eventually it becomes part of this bigger network. The long-term goal there is that we want to see these games kind of get completely decentralized so that they're not running on any sort of centralized service. They're running on a system of different nodes, each of which can have its own specific rules. I mean, you're young. I don't recall how old you are, but
I'm
you're
22.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just a baby, man. So like
Yeah.
back when you were negative, no, about when you were maybe zero.
When I was created. Yeah.
Yeah, back in those early days, we would have games and things like that, and everyone would have their own server, and you could, put your own little mods on that server, and you could, run like big head mode or low gravity mode or, whatever, and it was like your thing. That's what we want to bring back with the node system. And
Why did that end up dying out? Because I know private servers for the longest of time were huge. I mean, in fact, like I was
Huge,
4 years
massive.
old playing Lineage 2 private servers all the time. That was like an MMORPG, huge at the time. Why did that die out?
I think it died out sort of because things went sort of a Web 2 way. So originally you have like Web 1, and the way that I define Web 1 is that Web 1 is essentially the early internet. So if you wanted to go to a website, you would be going to a server, and it might be my server that I have in my office that you are going to, and that's where the data is stored. Web 2 is sort of a centralization of all of these things, where nobody is running their own stuff any longer. What they're doing is they're all, putting it on AWS, or they're putting it up on the cloud in some way, shape, or form. And you have these massive centralized services where, it's just easier. And people kind of got used to things being super, super, super easy. It's easier for you just to use somebody else's stuff than it is to run your own. The downside of that is that you're using somebody else's stuff and you have to play by their rules. If you're using your own stuff, you should be able to run that, completely on your own, which is kind of the where we want to get with this.
Yeah, I've got like validator nodes, and I know I was actually talking to a couple of people that have founders nodes that you might be moving into that model. But of course, it's obviously going to be different from what I do. I do like Cosmos stuff, and like, yeah, he's 100% right. You host it somewhere else, you're playing by their rules. Whatever they're doing, they control full stop what happens there. Now,
exactly.
You can migrate it somewhere else, but at the end of the day, you're playing by their rules, and it's usually not the most favorable rules in the world. So,
right.
I do think it's more expensive to have your own infrastructure, but I think it just makes so much sense, especially with how far computing power has gone in the 21st century.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is it is and it isn't more expensive to have your own infrastructure. That's one of the cool things about, when you play Last Expedition and you're playing on someone else's node, you're playing on their computer.
Yeah, essentially. It's on Spider Tanks too, right?
It's on Spider Tanks is a slightly different model that isn't fully fleshed out yet, but the Last Expedition, when you play Last Expedition, you're playing on someone's computer.
That's so cool.
And it's just a computer that's running in this case, Chris Shooter's office. And so, it's his node on a desktop. And that's the thing is that, yes, infrastructure, if you were to try to take that and put it on a VPS, okay, it wouldn't necessarily be a cheap VPS. Okay. But running it on your own computer when you want to play a game, you're already running the damn thing anyway. So
yeah, it's like it's hosting. Are you doing any port forwarding? Is it like those Minecraft things back in the day, or is it a little bit different?
It's a little bit different, but it's not hugely complex. And the thing is what it does is it removes the burden of maintaining that infrastructure from the game itself and puts it onto the people who love playing the game and who play the game so that they get rewarded for it. Why should we as a company pay Amazon, okay, so that you guys can play games? Why doesn't the game pay you to let people play games on your node?
Yeah, what's that incentive for people playing on your nodes?
Oh, there's the entire ecosystem for Spider Tanks is not fully not for Spider Tanks, for Last Expedition is not fully released yet. But basically the idea is that people will be able to come, you'll be able to put monsters, okay, on your nodes. So right now the Last Expedition node bundle, which I think is still on sale right now, comes with a node license, 25 game keys, okay, so you can get all your friends involved. And it comes with an NFT subscription, so that anytime we sell Last Expedition nodes licenses, okay, you will get whatever the NFT is that comes with that. The first drop was the Ravager NFT, the Ancient Primal Ravager, which is like super super crazy cool. It's this gigantic monster that like eats you.
Kind of want to look at this.
Dude, you need to look it up. Like
Yeah, I'm doing
seriously,
it right
go
now.
like look it up. And the node drop that is live right now, it's an Ancient Primal Bone Snapper. And so the people who bought the nodes and node package in the first one got the Ravager, and then they also got the Bone Snapper yesterday. And then, you know, going forward, they'll get the other ones as well. Whereas if you buy now, you don't get the Ravager, missed that, but you can get the Bone Snapper and the other stuff that's coming.
It's like early bird stuff for supporting them. And you know,
Right.
a good topic I think to shift on to this is like, funding these games. I've heard this rumor that a lot of crypto games just don't have enough funding to keep themselves alive for long term. You know, is this part of that funding that you guys are making sure, predetermined funding to have?
I mean, it's not quite like that. You know, we're okay, generally speaking, right now.
Okay.
What it is though, and this is important to note, is we've got like 28 games currently going live, and we've got almost 400 people at the company, and that's like programmers, engineers, artists. Like that's an insane cash burn. So yes, obviously, any sort of revenue does help, and it's a good thing. But it's also, we're not going anywhere.
Okay, and so let's go ahead and start talking about these games. When you vetted these projects, 'cause I'm assuming that these projects came up to you and there's some kind of application with hundreds of games. You vetted some of them, you decided some of them were worth it. How does that application process go through? Are you guys planning on getting more games? Are you guys chilling out until you get some of those games out? What's going on with that?
Right now we're focusing on delivering. Okay. Candidly, there are people who are, in some senses, justifiably pissed off that we have not yet delivered on everything yet.
I was a bit pissed off too, to be fair. Yeah, I think we all were, right?
Everybody is,
Yeah.
and I get it. I understand. At the same time, like, this is a thing that happens sometimes. Okay, so stuff takes a while to ship. It's just the reality of the world in which we live. One of the things that people don't understand is the actual timeline for game development. And it's not a crypto 3-month thing. That's not how you get a good game.
You get a DeFi protocol for 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Different thing though. Very, very different thing. So I think that's one of the big things. But people are like justifiably pissed off. They're like, when game, when are you guys going to launch this project that I specifically care about? Screw the other ones that I don't care about. When are you going to launch the one that I care about?
Yeah.
People get a little bit weird like that. And so what we're trying to do is focus on really, delivering on all the promises that have been made over the past couple of years as things have been, building up to this point. Now we've gotten Geary out. Spider Tanks is running on it. Other games are being added onto it. Q1 of next year, you were going to see a lot more documentation that gets, released on that so that other people can start building on it. So that's our main focus right now is getting stuff out the door.
Yeah, and I think personally for me, the part that frustrated me the most was like yesterday I was on a live stream playing Spider Tanks, right? And I had bought my first NFT on your guys' store, right? Okay. And it was like this tortoise. It was cute. I was trying to get it to level 30. Ended up doing it. Took me 4 hours or 5 hours or something like that.
Okay.
First off, I think you should have an auto reroll, until like 100 rolls, maybe it gets a perfect, stops rolling, something like that. That'd be great. But I think like onboarding people was a pain in the ass. Like it was really hard to get assets on there.
Have you tried it since we integrated the Web3 wallet?
Tried it yesterday.
Did you do it with your old account or did you create a new account?
I did it with a MetaMask, and I think it might have been the old account.
Okay, so you added an old. So
I just slapped my MetaMask on there.
Okay, there's definitely things that are being improved there, but yeah, onboarding is a big thing, and it's better than it used to be. It's not good enough yet.
Yeah, I would say like you guys just launched this chain. I mean, I can only say so many things on something that literally just launched, pretty much MVP, right? That you just did this, and obviously it's going to be improved upon. There's the argument of like, you should wait until this game is fully fleshed out and done, and it takes you 2-3 years to get out there.
The problem is if you do that, you have a Battlefield 2042 situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Which they how much money went into that game?
A lot. that game looked good. Right? Yeah.
It looked amazing.
But it just didn't perform well. Yeah, nobody played it. Had a million bugs on it when it launched.
I'm reasonably certain that Spider Tanks has higher DAU than Battlefield 2042, and that's
do you guys know how many that is?
Million. Battlefield 2042. I was reading something the other day. Let's see if we can look.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know, I think Spider Tanks had like 1,000 people, but now it has what, like 150, 300 maybe?
No, that's CCU. It's still running. It's still running decent. It's got, you know, a good number of users still. Not as many as we would like there to be, but yeah.
I mean, considering it just launched, right? It is what it is.
Well, it's just launched, but we also haven't actually marketed it in any, you know, real way.
Yeah, you got to do esports tournaments, dude. I'm so hyped. You have no idea.
Over esports tournaments. Absolutely would love to pull off some esports tournaments.
Yeah. I actually turned in this document to do a Spider Tanks tournament because, like, context, there used to be these RP tournaments back in like 2013 to 2015. I adminned a good like 80 of these tournaments, and it was so much fun watching these people ham it out and just start yelling at a microphone while it's like,
oh, I love it.
5 p.m. with Mountain Dew and Doritos. Like, that used to be the thing to do back in the day. Cheetos, exactly. Yeah, he was talking to me about like real cheese and Cheetos, but you know, like, a path forward on Gala, it's really just, you know, building upon the promises, right? At this point,
yeah,
right?
It's just delivering, man. I mean, and that's the thing. And you know, we have a fantastic community, and we also have a fantastic community of we'll say salty, grumpy people who would like to see things done differently. You know, and one of the things though that I think is really important about this is that we keep building, we keep shipping. You know, new stuff is coming out all the freaking time, and I think that that's a super important thing for everybody to you know, remember. When you look at what we're doing, you know, yes, things are not always perfect. Yes, there are questions that people have. Yes, you know, sometimes a drop does not happen the way that we would want it to happen, but we keep doing things and keep building stuff and keep launching things, and we're not going to stop. And that, I think, is absolutely critical here.
You know, I think a great comparison here that you should have said probably was like last year, I only remember seeing maybe 6 to 8 games that were in development on your website. I think like near your all-time highs or something like that. And that's when I initially got into it, right? And maybe,
dude, it was embarrassing back then. Like at this time last year, you could have justifiably called us Gala Game.
Yeah, I mean, you had Townstar, right? That's it.
Game Townstar one live game, and that's obviously not fucking good enough.
And it wasn't even, I mean, like, I don't prefer playing Townstar. It's like a very niche game, you know?
It's not my style either. But the thing is now I think we have 8 different beta tests going online on our platform right now.
So overwhelming.
It's a lot. That's so frustrating too, because it's like, you know, why doesn't Gala do anything? I'm like,
Gala's doing too much.
There's so many things. There's so many things that things are happening that I don't even know are happening.
But you know what the issue is, Bitbender? Nobody is covering it. So nobody understands. Nobody knows. It's like Gala token price did this, or maybe crypto markets capitulated or something like that. There's too much of a focus still on that versus like how much you've done. Today I saw this Walking Dead Empires playtest, and then you had a Last Expedition one yesterday I don't even know about because there were so many things happening, and then there was a Miranda's Tavern something brawl going on.
I haven't had a chance to play that.
I haven't even played any of that, right? And I'm somebody that is a content creator on that, so
dude, I work here. I haven't had a chance to play it. Okay, it's just mind blowing to me because what we end up with is we end up with these people that are like hyper focused on one little thing, and it's their key focus. Like we have one particular content creator. Not going to name names here, but his particular focus is Townstar, and he loves Townstar.
I know who you're talking about.
And you maybe you do, maybe you don't. He loves Townstar, and I love that he loves Townstar. But that's the only thing he cares about. None of the rest of the stuff that we do matters because we turned off earnings in Townstar in July. And since then, he's released a bunch of videos like, oh, rug, Gala's a rug, Gala's fake, Gala broke its promise, blah. And it's like, dude, like, we're working on things. Stuff is moving forward. Townstar is in fact one of the, I'd love to talk a little bit about Townstar today.
Yeah.
And we, in fact, just as you and I are doing this, somebody actually made a big announcement regarding Townstar. But yeah, there's like so much stuff that's going on. It's so impossible to get to cover it all, or to get people to cover it all.
Well, that's why you need
begin, man.
Like I was talking to your influencer relations guy, and it was like the guy before. I told him
Rustin,
Rustin, you need to have a place where influencers can just grab. I hate the term influencer. It's kind of cringe. Like it's just a content creator.
It's so terrible.
It's just a content creator, right? So I keep getting that word
on
my
head. People who love
head.
games and make videos.
Yes, we're just making videos. That's all we're doing. Like these are passion projects, clearly at this point, right? Like if I wanted to make money, you would just go to your DeFi channel. But anyway, my point is, like, you need to have one channel that just has every big release on there, and then get them all into cool events together. And, you know, hopefully they can, I mean, there's too many play tests, but at least they can go to some of them, right?
I would love to do that. Maybe that's what I'll dig into, over Christmas here, is getting some sort of repo like that put together. It's something that we're doing with exchanges and other ecosystem partners as well. So there's almost like a red phone type situation where it's like, look, this is a really important release. You guys really should get on this. Because, for example, the last Expedition playtest, like, I would love to have had you on there. I think that you would have absolutely loved it.
I would have been yelling all over the place. Yeah.
Dude. And as well, you should. And we can still do that.
No, we'll get to it. Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, I'd love to get more people into these things. And then also to get people into it from a game perspective, less from a token perspective.
Yeah, I don't know anything about your token on Last Expedition. I just know about the game.
It's Gala.
It's just Gala, right?
Gala's the token. And that's the other thing, is that everybody's like, oh, well, you're doing tokens for all your new games. No, we're not. We're using Gala in a deflationary economy, on the new games. It's not a, making a new token for everything. There may be cases in the future where games do require their own additional tokens to do something specific for that game. But, we're using Gala within basically every game going forward.
So, I mean, you have Townstar, you have a Mirandus coin or something like that, right?
Materium is the magic, like the mana within Mirandus.
So it's just like a utility coin that you use, like, when you do some magic on there. Okay.
Yes.
And Gala just gets used for everything else.
Gala gets used for everything else.
Oh, so Gala's like the main thing then, right? I mean, I noticed you guys have like a lot of volume, so clearly they're using it for something, right?
There's a lot going on there. So yes.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that. I think a lot of people will come to the argument of like, oh, this didn't come out too fast, or this economy didn't do too well because people were doing play and earn Ponzi schemes for the longest of time, and unfortunately we are now shifting to a more sustainable model. Or maybe they're like, okay, well, this costs too much or that costs too much. Can you talk to me? I don't know if you know this, but I think there's like Generation 2s coming to Spider Tanks and some of these other games that are like way cheaper. Can you touch base on that a little bit? Because affordability is really important here.
So affordability is a huge thing. People give us a lot of crap for NFT pricing. And to be honest, people give us a lot of crap no matter what we do. Like, we make it cheap, they give us crap.
You're a crypto game.
Expensive, they give us crap. Yeah. They just give us crap. Whatever it is. I have like the most amazing conversations on Twitter. Somebody sent me this this message the other day. You might have even been on this thread
Was
where
I?
somebody was I don't know. I'm not on the thread itself, but like somewhere else on it. But some guy's like, the Gala token price is down. I'll send you my last pair of underwear because it's like I have nothing left. And I'm like, dude, like what? I don't want your underwear. Thank you though.
Some random guy is gonna get, some bald guy in the middle of nowhere is gonna get underwear. So good for him, I guess.
Great. It's great, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay. But anyway, no, people give us a lot of crap. But one of the things that they do say is that NFTs are too expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a barrier to entry for Web 2 gamers. Totally 100% agree. Now, the way that the Spider Tank's economy is structured is that the emissions that go out to players are dependent on the emissions that come in from players. Okay. So it's essentially a circular economy with a token supply that goes down over time. Okay. So it's not like an Axie, token hose type situation where, the more players you get, the more tokens get released, and, it creates a big problem. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to have something that was easy for people to come in and purchase. So some of these tanks that are going to be dropped, the Generation 2 tanks, are going to be very inexpensive, and they're a great way for people to get into the game, own their own stuff, and start playing. Now, as they play, they may decide, oh, you know what I'd really like? I'd really like that Generation 1 tortoise tank. Okay, that hero tank that Classy Crypto got.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want Classy's tank. And so they very, very well may decide to go upgrade and get that, but we need a low barrier of entry and a low price point to get them in. And so that's one of the things that we're focusing on right now. And I think, honestly, if you look back, the NFT pricing strategy that we've used over the past year is an NFT pricing strategy that I'm going to be very, very candid here. Okay. This is like super candid, real talk. Ready?
Yeah.
So the NFT pricing strategy that we've used over the last year has been based on, in fact, the last 2 years really has been based on a series of logical decisions that led to a place that is illogical for the average user. Okay. So for example, when we first started selling NFTs for Mirandus, okay, the price point of selling the NFT, okay, we decided pretty rationally that you shouldn't sell an NFT if the gas cost was going to be higher than the cost of the NFT. Right?
Right.
That makes sense. So and then we started off with selling homesteads. Okay, we sold homesteads for Mirandus. I think we started them at like $40 or $50 or something like that. Okay. At $50 for Mirandus, the gas fees for those transactions were like $35 at the time, because
proof of work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like crazy, right? And so that made sense. Okay, well then, people were like, okay, well, we don't want you to sell similar stuff for less because that is going to hurt, what we think we want. And crypto was massively booming at the time, right? And so, the prices of NFTs and in fact, the gas fees for a while continued to go up. And then you reach this point in time where it's like, okay, well, now it's at this point, but it's too high for the average user. Okay, so what are we going to do? Right. And so this is where we've been experimenting, changing things. We did Thanksgiving, for example, where we did sales on a bunch of different tank parts. I think we called it Thanksgiving.
Oh, was it those things where it was down like 79% or something like that?
Yeah. We basically did discounts on some of these things. And this was mostly to get to make things accessible for people. The Generation 2 tanks are going to be even more accessible. They're going to have much lower, victory point earning potential.
Yeah.
But, they're also going to be super easy for you to get in. And we feel that, with Mirandus, when people bought homesteads, okay, they bought homesteads and they saw the vision and they understood the vision. And, that was something that a lot of people really, really, really liked. And what that led to is that led to people being able to buy something for pretty inexpensively and feel that they had gotten a great deal on that. That's what we want. What I hate is when people are like, oh God, this is expensive. I really want this thing, but it's so expensive. And I don't like that I have to spend this much money on it. I don't like that. Now, granted, I don't make all the decisions, guys. Okay. But I am a pretty constant voice for the end user here in pricing discussions. And just like I said, for Townstar, something happened while we were doing this.
Okay.
So there's these bots for Townstar, right? There's like the trade bot, the farm bot, the crane bot. All of them are made of all of these different parts. Okay. Now, we had when this was first conceptualized, we're talking like 2.5 years ago now, when this was first conceptualized, all of these little parts were being dropped to the founders node operators, right? And then we had this concept called crypto crafting, where a whole bunch of transactions would take place on Ethereum. They would burn all of these other parts, and you would get this new NFT that was like the crane bot. Okay. The problem is that gas fees made that completely, totally bonkers stupid to do, because it was literally like hundreds of dollars of gas fees. So what we've just done is we have just, for the people who have been operating the Townstar nodes, we have just put together a package where they will be able to buy a trade bot crate that has all of the parts needed to build a trade bot for $5.
Oh, so pretty much free. Yeah.
Like very, very, very inexpensive. So if you ran your Townstar node in November for, I think, 10 days, you can buy one of these things for $5. If you just have a node, you can buy them tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I don't know the exact date, but in the future, after the $5 ones for $500. And if you just want to buy one, it's $1,500. There's only 580 of them though. So I kind of think they're not going to make it to that.
You're giving a lot of value to the guys who actually ran them during November.
Exactly.
Did they know that though?
No, they had no idea.
Oh wow! So a lot of people didn't get it.
Well,
you're gonna get pitchforks.
It does. I'm always gonna get pitchforks. Somebody's gonna try to send me their damn underwear because they weren't able to buy a trade bot for $5. That's my weird life. But anyway. The point is we want to do something that brings value to the community. We want people to understand that we're here building with them, that we're trying to create something, and that we want them to succeed. That's what's important for all of us together.
Yeah, we got to get some tournaments down. That's always like a great way of getting people really active, because I think the main issue right now is people like play these games for the earnings, and they're really hyper focused on that. And then the second something happens with it, they're gone. There's no real like personalization of the game itself, right? Like, I might be addicted to spider tanks, but most people probably aren't addicted to spider tanks yet because they have no reason to be addicted. Maybe it's because there's no lore, as far as I know, right?
There isn't. Or not that's been publicly released. It's definitely something we want. We would like there to be lore. We'd like there to be a little bit more of a meta. That's a lot of this stuff is stuff that's in flight right now. It's just we're not talking about it. But yeah, we definitely agree that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, awesome. And I think that overall, like, kind of wraps it up. I mean, Gala Games, you're in a state where you're so much further than you were before. Now, obviously, markets are in a different state, but like, thank God it kind of happened, right? That it boomed, gave you what you needed, the resources to go ahead and survive through what we're experiencing right now. And I kind of fail to understand any other competitors that might be as positioned as you guys to release some awesome games to play. I mean, that's 28 games. I'm going to be like, I don't even have to cover anything else. You guys are literally like giving my channel the life it needs to survive. Just give me 28 games to cover. I'm eventually going to stick to one of those games.
So yeah, there's so freaking much. So that's I'm super excited about all of this, man. There's just so much that's in flight right now that
you can't talk about it, but it's so close.
Well, I mean, there's stuff I can talk about, like I announced this morning on a stream with CoinStore.
Okay.
I announced that that Earning is coming back to Townstar by the end of January.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. How's the
Yeah,
restructuring for
so
that happening?
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So the Godot version is almost at the point where it's ready to go. I'm hoping that it hits the end of January. There's a possibility it might slip a little bit, but it shouldn't slip that much, if it does at all. But yeah, that's so earnings coming back to Townstar, new version, completely new version. Now this is super exciting because and this shows how people don't necessarily understand the direction that things go sometimes. We've got 2 Townstar teams.
Oh, okay. What do they
Okay.
do?
Now, the reason that we have 2 Townstar teams is because we have one Townstar team that is the Townstar Live team. Now, the Townstar Live team are the ones that make new content for Townstar. They're the ones that run the weekly, the tournaments. That's the Townstar Live team. Then we have the second team is the Townstar Forever team. Okay. They're the ones that are building the entirely new Townstar. Okay.
Oh, there's a totally new Townstar coming out?
Totally new Townstar. Now,
really?
For the average user, it's not going to look like a new Townstar.
Oh,
okay?
It's a revamp.
It's an entirely it's a copy on a new engine. Okay. So the reason for that is that Townstar, we'll call them old and new Townstar. Okay, even though that's not quite correct. Old Townstar was client authoritative. And what client authoritative means is that it means that your computer is the source of truth for the game. Okay, so if you cheat on your computer accepts it because it's on your computer, right?
Yeah.
This is a massive problem. The other thing that this does is this is why if you play Townstar, you have to keep the fucking window up, okay, all the time.
Yeah,
right?
that's
if you
annoying.
minimize it, your town stops. And I mean, like, how many times have you done like Windows D, minimized
it's really
everything,
frustrating.
opened one thing, massively frustrating. And so that sucks. And you can't have a game that continues running if it's not actually running, if you're using a client authoritative model. We've rebuilt the entire game to parity. Okay, so it is the same as old Townstar and new Townstar are the same, but new Townstar is built on an entirely new engine, okay, called Godot, and it is server authoritative, so it runs on a server. This is a massive, massive improvement. This means that you can close the window and your town is just going to keep on running. Okay, open it back up again later, do what you want, close it again, not a problem. You don't have to keep it up all the time.
Okay, so you don't have to have it on your computer on, or is it just like you can minimize the window?
You can close the window if you want.
Oh, so it's like SimCity. I can actually just leave it idle over there, essentially, right? Thank God. I mean, that's exactly what we need. Because what happens is people will max out their towns and they just leave it running for 7 days straight for the entire competition. But I guess they could just leave afterward, right? Once they automate everything. Or do they have to check in?
So there's going to be like, all sorts of interesting things, daily challenges and whatnot that we can do.
Okay.
And that's the other thing is that, do you remember when Townstar was Play to Earn, right? Like the old version of Play to Earn, all you had to do was get X number of points a day.
Yeah, and then you'd get off instantly. Yeah.
You'd get X number of points and then you'd get off.
And it wasn't even that many. It was like, 30 minutes maybe of points?
Something like that. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that that's what happens. Okay. But the reason that we couldn't, for example, say, okay, your goal today, your daily mission is to make a certain amount of whatever an item is. Okay. We couldn't do that because it was possible for somebody to go into their browser and inject a line of code and give themselves that number of items and then sell them and complete their points.
Oh, that's a thing?
Okay, it was a thing.
Okay.
Now we catch it as cheating, okay, and we can we can nuke their town, okay, but it's still a thing that you can do. That's not possible with a server authoritative model, which means that we can have daily challenges like make 10 cakes, you know, sell 500 batteries, you know, whatever it is. Like, we can do a different daily challenge every day.
So we actually have to
Change up
adjust
the
our
meta.
towns. Yeah.
So exactly. So it becomes more of an actual game that you have to try to do, and you have to like strategize.
Not an
and
idle
it's not just
simulator.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that comes with this new movement. And so that's why we're looking forward to being able to turn earnings back on, you know, which will be earnings for players, earning for nodes, you know, and it's going to be, I'm pretty excited about it, man.
And maybe we'll actually try the game out again. Maybe I'll give it a
You
chance.
should. Oh,
Yeah.
that the other thing that I was saying is that with those two teams coming together, that means that Townstar is now going to have like double the firepower, because it's no longer two separate teams. It's
Right.
one
They'd
big
already
team.
finished it, so it's all merged. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really. I wonder what you guys could do. I mean, there could be like special events where maybe there's like a kamikaze or an earthquake or like some natural
there's
disaster.
all sorts of things. There's all sorts of things.
And I remember with the tiles, people were complaining about something about like the rivers on there, and that there wasn't enough or something like that.
Yep. That system is changing as well, so that there isn't the same like sort of land rush problem where people would have like bots that would select the
that's why I never got them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So, you know, that's being changed.
Yeah, thank God, because that was tough. Because I could never get the most favorable land plots. They would instantly be taken, and it was the most frustrating thing for the longest of time. But I am glad that there's progress being made there. You know, I remember that you guys were talking about shadows at some point and all these different new features that old Townstar didn't have for the longest of time. And it's those small quality of life things that makes the experience so much more entertaining, because it actually hooks you into the game. You actually have to at least do some kind of layout on the structuring of everything. So to me, that made a lot of sense. Yeah.
There's other things too, where, you know, they have, I have seen a 64 by 64 Townstar grid.
What's a normal Townstar grid?
16 by 16.
Oh my God. That's
okay. And it's
absurd.
Crazy. It's like it's a whole big ass giant forest. And you know, now I don't know that that's going to be something that's released right away, or maybe even ever. But I would love.
That's
for
a
it
lot
to
of
be.
land.
It's a lot
to be
of
honest.
land.
Maybe you could do like mini games or game modes where you fight like a zombie horde, and then you've got to do like, you know, cupcakes or cookies and throw them at it or something. That could be fun.
For me, the right, diabetic zombies.
Exactly.
I've had too many cupcakes. I'm gonna take a nap. The thing that Townstar reminds me of a very cute Factorio.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it kind of does.
And so with that larger grid, you could do so much cool stuff. Like it'd be super fun.
Yeah, that would be insane to kind of put together, but you know, I'd be pretty hyped for at least 32 by 32s, right? Just double the size and see what people can make out of it, right? That's happening. That's happening. You got to make it happen for sure. I did think it was a little small, the land plots, because they finished them too fast, right? Like I played for maybe half a day and most of it was just idle, and I'd finished the entire thing, right? And that's just me, someone that had pretty much no idea how to play the game, and I played it first time and did it. Now maybe there's like experience on top of it, like played SimCity and some other games, but yeah, I know. I'm definitely looking forward to like the Townstar revamp. It's gonna help you guys a lot, I feel, because most of the people that were into your games were into Townstar, right? That was the thing that got you known. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to Townstar being fixed, because, you know, after that, people can begin to focus on some of the other titles you guys are doing and all like the great progress you're doing. And that's mainly what we want to show on the channel. You know, the progressive stance that a lot of these games are having. And I don't even know if I'll call it crypto games. I'll just call it Web3 games, or it's Web3 games. You know, Play and Own is coming.
How about just games, man?
Games. Exactly. Yeah. I hate the NFT narrative. Like, you guys got to change it from NFTs to something else.
We're trying. I mean, it's difficult, because what we find is that, you know, we get a lot of crap from people for being kind of Web 2. Like they say, well, Gala's Web 2.5, Gala's Web 2.5.
Yeah.
And things like that. And they're not necessarily wrong. Okay. Because we do run things like a business. And it's a little bit It's a little bit different than what sort of the pure Web3 narrative is. Although I personally, I'm Web3 to my bones, but it's difficult to do that on a large scale with a large company. Okay. And so we take a little bit of flack for that, but I think that we find ourselves in this weird position where the Web 2 people are like, ugh, NFTs. Let me go put a comment on a Kotaku article about how terrible this is. And then the Web 3 people are like, oh, Gala's Web 2.5. And so we find ourselves like in this weird middle position. Yeah. Where we're trying to make it so that Web 2 people can come into Web 3, and then Web 3 people can play real games, in a Web 3 context. And it's a very it's an interesting balance that we have to walk, and it's not pleasant by any stretch of the imagination.
I think Web3 people are gonna have to get over it at some point. Listen, I'm a crypto maxi, but like you got to drop the NFTs, you got to drop the crypto in general. People can utilize crypto technology, but it's not like we're saying fiat, right? Like
it should be part of the tech stack. Okay. Like blockchain should definitely 100% be part of the tech stack, but the sort of ivory tower intellectual blockchain vocabulary, like that shit has to go. Like it. So
you think we should come up with another word?
I honestly, do you want to see my tinfoil hat conspiracy?
Go for it.
I think that the name cryptocurrency itself is such a monumentally bad branding decision that it almost has to have been done by someone with bad intent. Like almost. Because there is a million different things that you could call assets on a blockchain that don't sound scary and sketchy and like they're just used to buy drugs on the internet.
Cryptic, yeah, they didn't do a good job with that one. And you know what? Like people use
it's not in
similar things.
It's not
to
in the they do. But the thing is like if you go back and read the Satoshi white paper, okay, the original Bitcoin white paper, it does not say anonymous, other than the fact that your peers that approve transactions are, from a user's perspective, anonymous. It doesn't say anything about hiding transactions. It doesn't say anything about any of that. The word cryptocurrency isn't even used at all. Okay, that's something that was created after the fact. Exactly. And so but it's so bad. It's so bad that it almost feels like it was intentionally created that way. Somebody's like, well, why would you call it that?
I mean, with all the fraud in our industry, it makes a lot of sense, right? You have cryptocurrency and everybody's scared and running away. So what do you propose to fix this?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, this is like, I ought to write like a thing on this, but I mean, I think, digital assets, okay. Distributed ledger assets.
I like that. Distributed ledger. Yeah.
Yeah, but even distributed ledger, who the fuck outside of this industry knows what that means?
That's true. That's
like
true.
You and I know what that means. My mom has no idea. She's like, "What, a distributed ledger? I don't know what that is." Digital assets make sense. Verifiable digital assets maybe is a nice way to say it.
That's not bad. Yeah.
VDA, but that also sounds like I don't know. It sounds weird.
Nah, VDA.
But it's but that's the thing is we have to come up with new vocabulary for this thing, because NFTs, that doesn't work. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And it just sounds so creepy and sketchy, and
we need to come up with another better word. Yeah. I think once you do that and you actually kick up the marketing, because people just don't realize we're just waiting, right? Until deliverables happen, you fix everything, and then you're ready to go to Web 2 audiences. Because that's what we want. Like, I want to be talking to Web 2 audiences. That's my goal.
Of course you do.
To play the games, have fun, pay some editor to do some clips, and, just call it a day. But we're not there yet. We're still kind of explaining to the world what's coming, the vision. And there's a lot of people that believe in it. There's a lot of people that, like you're saying, give noise to it. But I would argue that there's a good chunk of people that are buying into Gala games and crypto gaming in general, Web3 games or digital assets, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, they're really excited for it. There's a reason that I'm still covering it. You know, I could have kept covering Axie Infinity, but like your heart's not there. Your heart's in those companies that are doing the Web 2.5, which is pretty much just Web 3 with actual structure in it. And that's what we need. We need solid titles that could come out in a timely fashion, that have the business sense, with CEOs that know how to market toward people that are just regular people, right? Like that's what you need to do. And I'm sure you guys, you'll get around to it. You're definitely doing a lot better than you were last year in terms of like how friendly it was, because I felt like it was pretty hostile last year. This year, not really the same. Like my buddy that hates crypto gaming plays spider tanks, and he's kind of addicted too. So
nice.
Yeah, it's just about grabbing your buddies, having some fun, playing some crypto games, and then I guess if you want to support it as you will. We're a pretty supportive community, and it was definitely a pleasure to talk to you. We're having like 50 minutes here, and you know, like the future is so exciting. Like I'm so excited for it, and I'm excited to be one of the people in the forefront covering it. But as always, Jason, thank you for joining the Classic Crypto Gaming channel. One of the first of many, I hope, play sessions. We definitely got to get on Last Expedition. That's gonna be a banger. It's gonna be a banger. But
let's do it. We can do
right
this
after this. Yeah, let's do it some other time.
You got it. We can put on our Santa hats. We can live stream on Christmas Day.
For sure. We'll plan it out.
We'll make it happen.
We'll do some exciting stuff. But as always, gentlemen, stay safe, stay classy, and that's all.